Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and before we start I just want to make a little shout out to a special friend of mine who I really appreciate spending time with during these difficult times. And guys, please remember, you are not alone. There is always someone you can have some fun with even during these difficult times. But now let's get stuck into the replays. So some of you will have noticed that Lalo doesn't actually have the US clan tag while playing this battle, and he won't actually have in the next one as well. But that is because he's currently in copy to fight the winter tournaments. So we wish him good luck there, and well, hopefully he will get to win the tournament indeed. And as you all know, you can change the outside as much as you want, but you can't change the inside. So he stays part of our family and this forever. So he's playing the Hori Type 2 on Dead Rail, one of the best maps for tank destroyers. So that's actually perfect to showcase what this tank is capable of. Now this tank has a very good gun that has 560 alpha damage, so he isn't low rolling his shells. He doesn't actually have the usual 640 the tank destroyers have, but a 560 alpha damage. And the DPM is very good at 2849, the same as the Conway if you're willing to use the 600 damage gun. Now of course you can ask yourself the question, well, why doesn't it actually have the 640 alpha damage gun? What are the things that compensate the fact it doesn't have that big boy alpha damage at tier 9? Well, I would say this tank isn't really very good in one thing. I would say it's a big all-rounder really, because the aim time is very good, your speed is very nice. It's never really the best of them because the Conway is faster, for example. The Conway also has the same aim time. The armor isn't the best on the Hori if you compare it to, for example, the WZ-111 GFT that has that big gun mantlet, or the FV4004 that has that troll armor. But it's just right in the middle for everything really, and that is what makes this tank so strong. It doesn't specialize in one thing, but it's good in everything. And so that is exactly what Lalo is doing right here. He's using the speed of the tank to go backwards, he's using camouflage of the tank, he's using the alpha damage of the tank, he's also using the rate of fire because he can shoot some HE rounds left, right and center, although he's not going to pen them. With the incredible, well, very nice reload you have on this tank, you can allow yourself to shoot some HE at the enemy tanks to cripple down their hit points, well, as much as you can. Unfortunately, it looks like his team has completely lost the A side of this map, which is very unfortunate when you're playing a tank destroyer, because that means you're going to get spotted constantly while firing, and this is exactly what happened here. So in this case, when you actually shoot through the bush, you have to go backwards all the time because you are going to get spotted. There is no doubt about that. So don't just stay there because you're just going to get exposed and lose hit points. Instead of just going backwards and waiting to get unspotted, just as Lalo is showing you, then you can go back up, wait for your camouflage to activate and shoot again, and go back towards right after that, because once more you are going to get spotted. Now Lalo is trying to focus fire the IS-4 with his platoon mate, which is the right play because that is one of the most dangerous tanks on the enemy team. So if you can actually manage to kill the IS-4, he's only left with a grill, but he can HE the grill, which is a very nice thing. And well, it is not impossible to deal with an E75, a Batchat or a WZ when playing the Hori Type 2. But right now it's actually a 2 versus 4. Only Lalo and his platoon mate are left against a whole bunch of tanks that, well, for the most part are quite healthy as well. So how do you deal with this kind of a situation when, well, actually he's a tank destroyer, so he can't just get forwards and try and use his armor, because the Hori has, let's say, fairly good armor if you play against tier 8 and medium and light tanks at tier 9, but you are definitely not going to bounce tier 9 heavy tanks and tank destroyers or anything at tier 10 reliably. So Lalo is stuck into a very awkward situation, as he wants to shoot the Batchat, but as he actually realizes he can't go forwards because the WC and the grill are both aiming at him. So if he gets forwards, he's just going to, well, lose 1,280 hit points on average if both of the tank destroyers pen him, and, well, most of the time that is actually going to be the case. So he's going to get back. He's actually waiting now for the Batchat to come and chase him, which is a right play, because maybe his platoon mate, although he's very far on his left, could also try and help him if the Batchat decided to rush him. So here Lalo is actually loading the HE shells. Now the HE shells on this tank are far from very good. They only have 640 alpha damage and 85 millimeters of penetration. If you compare that to the HE cells on the WZ-111 GFT or the Object 704, they both have 960 alpha damage and that with 90 millimeters of penetration. So in situations where there are lightly armored tanks that are, well, let's say to mid to long distances away from you, I wouldn't actually recommend shooting the HE shells, as the chances of you not spending the enemy tank or shooting his gun or anything with HE just like that are not worth the fact you only have, to do some quick math here, so you only have 80 more alpha damage, so that just isn't worth it. The HE shells on this tank are very, very disappointing for a tank destroyer, and right now Lalo is just getting hit by every side and he can't really do anything about it, but he's going to be able to shut down the grill, and now he has to focus on the bad chat. But the bad chat is reeling, so that is why he is keeping his armor towards the unspotted E75 that is on the other side. And the biggest low roll in the history of World of Tanks made that Lalo just got destroyed right here. Very, very unlucky indeed. And I think this replay really shows you what the strengths are of this tank, but also what are the weaknesses. Because like I said, the HE shells are very, very underwhelming when playing the Hori. But the AP shells are very good. Lalo showed you exactly what the tank is able to do with that great DPM, with the mobility it has, with the camouflage it has, and unfortunately his strength is going to get shut down as well, resuming this battle into a loss. That doesn't change the fact that Lalo and his friend tried to kill as many opponents as he can before they got shut down themselves. So he actually got an ace tanker for defeat. That is very difficult, and that is because he got 1400 base experience points for 5.4k damage. Now he only missed one shell, but some of the HE shells unfortunately didn't penetrate. Now that was the first game, so let's just get stuck into the second one. And for this second game, Lalo is playing with the same teammate, same platoon mate, and he's playing on Naval Frontier, and unfortunately he is bottom tier again. Now there are various places you could take a tank destroyer to play with on this map. The first place of course is the middle, then you have the place on the left hand side where you stay at the back and cover your heavies, and the other one is on the right hand side where you can try and shoot the medium tanks. Although I think that position is very risky, as you have to expose yourself to shoot the enemies, and as this tank doesn't have the best of armor, I don't think it's the best idea. So Lalo is just going to go into the middle right here and try and shoot the enemies that are going to cross the gap. And guys, please, if you're playing a heavy tank, don't go middle on this map. The only thing you're going to achieve is ignore your tank destroyers. I mean, really, you have to be exceptionally lucky that the enemies are playing, well, very bad and just sitting into the open like the IS-8 to get some shots off. And at the same time, you leave the left-hand side of this map completely, well, open, so the enemies can just go there, rush it, and, well, flank you, and then actually you are completely screwed. But luckily for Lalo and his team, the IS-8, well, clearly isn't the best of players out there, and he got shut down not even a minute into this game. And as Lalo has nice map awareness, he sees that on the right hand side, two of the top tier heavy tanks got spotted, and so he tries to help them. But now he gets flanked by the Progetto, and this is exactly what happens when none of your heavies are going on the left hand side. You get pincered into two flanks. Now fortunately for his team, Lalo has great skill and manages to get the first shot into the Progetto, but the Progetto isn't dead yet, and you have to shoot him at least 3 more times, spanning him if he wants to shut him down. No, he tries to blind shot him, but we saw the shell splash, so that means that, well, obviously he didn't hit the Progetto there. And once more I want to point out that the heavy tanks are completely out of position. I mean, this Granvang is shooting at the medium tanks, but look at this E100, he's just going forwards, going backwards, turning his turret around, and he doesn't know what to do because he is in the complete wrong position. So once more guys, please do not go middle on this map if you are a heavy tank. That's just completely useless. And now you can see Lalo is doing exactly what you have to do if you want to bounce shots, and that is angle your armor, because the front plates of the Hori are all flat, and so if you keep them flat towards your enemy, well, they pan you at an angle of 90 degrees, and that is the easiest angle to pan any tank in the game. Now unfortunately, the problem with tank destroyers that are turretless is that if you're not facing the enemy with your gun towards it, well, that means you're angling, so that's good because you're going to bounce, but yeah, you can't shoot the enemies as you're not facing them. And Lalo quickly shuts down the standard B, which is good, and the T123, it looks like he was shooting the Granvang, but actually he's trying to shoot Lalo instead, which is a questionable decision. But fortunately for Lalo, he bounces the T123 again, and this tank, although like I said doesn't have the best armor, you have some plates that can bounce the enemies, and right now Lalo is just bouncing shells left, right and center, that one probably hitting his gun. And although there are one tank ahead, most of the enemy tanks are left are very dangerous tanks indeed, so he needs to try and shut them down as fast as he can. And so once more he's angling his armor, and when you angle your armor and if people don't actually aim at you, you are going to get those bounces. And now Lalo is once more left in a very awkward position, because who does he have to shoot? He's trying to take a look at the Grand Vong, but obviously he has 2 tanks in front of him that he needs to take care of. And he's saying to the Grand Vong to go forward, to use his HP, and that is exactly what the Grand Vong should have done a long time ago. It's a top tier heavy tank. Why are you still camping? It's like 4 minutes and 20 seconds, no, 3 minutes and 20 seconds into this game, and you are still camping behind a T9 tank destroyer. Then you actually have done something wrong in the Grand Vong. I'm sorry to tell you that. Now the Grand Vong finally goes forwards, but now he's in an awkward position where he's trying to shoot the 100, and that's a little bit of a back of the replay right here. But still, Lalo actually decided to shoot HE because he couldn't shoot the 100, which is the right decision. So I was talking about the Grand Vong not being able to shoot the 100, and so he takes the right decision. He's now pushing the T123, so both of his heavy tanks are pushing the T123 and the Progetto, shutting down one of them. But the Grand Vong got shut down as well, and this is a problem when you're not playing the Grand Vong correctly. The Grand Vong has great turret armor, great hull armor, but the lower plate is very fragile, and your sides are as well. And so, well, the Grand Vong got forward, but that means the 100 had his side, and probably the 100 shot him as well, and that is why he was killed right here. And Lalo once more makes a correct decision, trying to kill the T123 first to help his E100 deal with it, and now it's a 2 versus 1. You can see Lalo is probably very happy pushing that affirmative button, and now they only have to kill the E100, and he's still full HP, so he can take, well, 2 shots at least if he doesn't get set on fire, or if he doesn't get ammo racked, and his E100 has a lot of HP remaining as well, so now he can just enjoy and farm the very last guy. So his E100 probably will die if Lalo doesn't get a shot in before the enemy E100 fires at him. But still, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because it's a win if he just gets to shoot E100, and the E100 goes forward just a bit too much, and so Lalo gets a beautiful shot into his side, shutting the last remaining tier 10 heavy tank on the enemy team down. And just like that, Lalo is going to achieve another ace tanker for 4.8k damage, this time being on top of his team once more, and actually receiving more experience than last time. So that's, well, very nice indeed. Now he did miss a few shells and bounced one, but that doesn't really matter, because he had to fire these chancy shots to get the Progetto killed. And, well, if you don't fire, you're never going to damage him, so you may as well just take your chances and hope that RNG is with you and pen the enemy tank you're shooting at. So the Hori Type 2, all in all, is it a good tank? Well, it's definitely not a bad tank, but there are so many good tank destroyers out there at T9 that I think are maybe worth more. I mean, the WZ111 GFT has that big gun mantlet you can bounce with, and it has that 640 alpha damage and the 960 alpha damage on the HE, which are just also satisfying when shooting at low armored enemy tanks. You also have the OBX-74, which has that great camouflage, that insane DPM, that is, well, I think one of the best DPMs when you shoot AP of any tier 9 tank destroyer, except from the Conway. And then of course you have that Conway where you can choose between both guns. You can pen those HES shells that have crazy penetration. So I mean, unfortunately I think the Hori Type 2 is just not very let's say special, because it has a bit of everything, but it doesn't have anything that is insane about the tank. But should you buy it? Well, if you like T9 tank destroyers, why not? It's definitely not bad, but it's just not very special to me. And this is the end of the video, so guys, please stay safe, and well, I will see you in the next one. See you.